Hey, welcome back guys. Today I have a first impressions video for you from my first couple of days playing New World. I'm going to go over some pros and cons of this game from my perspective and finish off with an overall summary of the game. Now, I never played this game prior to this because a delay had already been announced and I wanted to come in with a fresh perspective once it got closer to release. So as usual, comment, like, subscribe to help support me, all that YouTube plug stuff. All right, here we go. Now, when you first log in, you are on a beach and you go through a fairly standard RPG tutorial that assumes you have never played anything like it before. This is neither a pro or a con, really, and while it may seem very familiar to veteran gamers, this tutorial is pretty short, and you're not going to have to suffer too long before you're thrown into the actual world of Eternum with other players. You have a couple spots you can be dropped off at, so if you aren't near your buddies, you will have to either run for like 30 minutes or so, dodging much higher enemies along the way, or just grind out the first few hours by yourself and level up in your respective zones until you meet at a crossroads a bit further down the line. I'm sure this was done to balance the launch areas, but hopefully after we get past launch, they add an option to pick a starting area closest to where you want to end up. Just more of an annoyance, really. It's not the end of the world. When I first got in game, I landed in Monarch's Bluff, and at this point I really started to notice the world around me for the first time. A dense forest and thick vegetation that had a good amount of wildlife was just beyond the beach I had landed on. Taking on some quests from the camp nearby finished out what I would still consider the tutorial, but this did a good job of giving me a feeling of how things were going to go in this game. My first bout of combat reminded me of something I'd read earlier on how this game's combat system was somewhat inspired by Dark Souls. Now, the reason I was reminded was because while I was mindlessly clicking attack on something and taking shots, even from something a few levels lower than me, I was punished for it severely. This forced me to eat some food and take a break before pressing on. Now, at this point, I felt like I started noticing some issues with the controls. In my perspective, the dodging is a bit clunky. Perhaps I am too used to being able to use it whenever I want from other games, and I am just simply committed to whatever stage of animation I am currently in. This could definitely be part of the combat system, and I just need to understand the risk of attacking, but I still feel like it doesn't respond consistently when I'm not attacking either. Not sure really what is going on here. Please share with me your thoughts on this one or anything else with the combat system that you like or dislike. Whatever the case is, the combat system is pretty good, but could perhaps use some more polish. We are still in beta though, and so some of these things are to be expected. Regardless of any control issues that I was having, it was obvious if you are to be successful, you cannot just sit there and spam away without hardly paying attention. That part in particular I love about this game. Having a more skill-oriented combat keeps me engaged, and always something I look for very much in any MMO that I play. Now, something positive about the combat that struck me was the sound effects. I found them to be quite impactful. That may seem like a weird thing to say, but the sounds when you hit something, I really found to be satisfying and helped me keep engaged with the combat. I really don't find that often with sound effects in MMOs. But pretty much every MMO has quests, and the quests in this game aren't really anything special or out of the ordinary. To be honest, I would be shocked if there was a game that came up with something that was a really novel concept. But the quests do their part. Bringing items to the town to complete projects to help upgrade crafting stations within the city is, I believe, about as unique as it gets. But even the basis of that in terms of bringing items isn't something new. Beyond that, you have your standard kill quests, exploring, finding something for various NPCs or the town board. If you can think of something this game is doing that is truly different quest-wise, drop a comment below if you don't mind. Next up, I want to talk about crafting. I have a few people in my company who have actually likened it to RuneScape. I haven't played RuneScape in like 15 years, so I'm not 100% sure how accurate that is, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Crafting, as you can probably guess, is quite closely related to your various gathering skills, like logging, mining, or skinning. The raw materials you gain there are in turn refined at crafting stations in town. These refined materials then can be used at other crafting stations to make weapons, armor, or even furniture for your future home. As you use these various gathering skills or crafting stations, you level up the skills associated with them. And that allows you to gather or craft higher level items. Higher level items will also start to require some more rare ingredients. And finally, everything you craft has a chance to come out to a higher rarity. That chance increases as your skill level improves, though. The game follows the standard rarity color scheme familiar to fans of the MMO genre: gray for common, green for uncommon, blue for rare, purple for epic, and orange for legendary. That is an extremely simplified version of how the crafting works in this game, but just understand it is extremely beneficial to invest time into these skills so you can assist your company with their goals or even just become very self-sufficient yourself. Now, the more time you spend in a particular region doing activities like killing mobs, gathering, crafting, or trading, the more influence you gain in that region, which will allow you to gain perks. Things like more XP to be gained, faster gathering speed, or even less taxes on trading your items there. So make sure to invest time in areas you know you're going to spend a lot of time in. And this seems like a good spot to transition into talking about companies, which is basically a guild in this game. Your company has a max of 100 players, all of whom, hopefully, are working towards a like-minded goal, like buying a town or taking one from a rival guild or rival company. I joined mine after messaging in my faction chat to make sure that I was talking to all the relevant players that it would matter to. And with about a minute, I had an invite. Now, being a game with a cap on companies, I can easily see where people will become selective if you are in a more serious guild. So make sure you join people playing with a similar mindset as you. Or if you don't want to be a part of a company, or maybe you just want to be part of a small company with friends, you can actually still assist by doing missions and assignments in the region that a company controls. This goes for opposing factions as well, so if you're actively opposed to a rival faction or company, making an effort to avoid regions controlled by them does a small part that really begins to add up. Sometimes this can't be avoided if you're questing and such, because those just bring you everywhere, but it's a good way to operate if at all possible. Now, I'm going to be doing a whole separate video when it comes to PvP and the dungeons within this game, so make sure to check them out when they're done. So far, this game has been extremely addicting and enjoyable for me. It's been too long that we have had MMOs pretty much only from established franchises. We've just been starving for something new, and so far this is promising. Now, it's not entirely new, obviously. I don't really feel like we're ever going to get something that's truly unique, but it's doing very, very well. Now, aside from the expected server issues, I have never seen an MMO launch without some sort of server issue, and the bricking of some GPUs, which is obviously not good. Things have been going pretty good from my perspective. Amazon Game Studios has definitely been somewhat of a meme in the past few years for having a couple bad releases, but they seem to really have something here. I'm definitely going to be playing some more New World and making guides and PvP videos to go along with it. So I hope you stick around. Thanks for watching. See you later.